I met a gypsy.
Will Barsha win the first round?
Don't know.
We didn't say so. I think Barsha's technique's like one of those things as well. I think technique's changed over. It's not working no more.
Yeah.
Like it shows he can be up
the
front.
The 450 chassis though doesn't work when you rev it that hard.
No.
Like it's too bound up. Like even when I did the coaching with Townley, there was like a rut and I was in this stand. It was a straight line rut standing up, like mud, just a long mud rut, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like revving my bike in third gear because if I was riding no rut, then I'd be holding it on third gear and then third gear through the next turn, right?
Yep.
Townley's like, bro, your bike just isn't working. And I was like, oh, I'm just not good in these ruts. And he's like, okay, upshift to fourth before you get into it. Let the pressure go of your hands and use your feet to steer the bike through the rut. That's the most like, what the f***? But then you see it in the footage, man. I'm just like, and
because you're not steering.
No, you're not. But the way that the bike and it's like this wound up like gyro effect, and then any time you're like hitting any bit of the rut, it's just like bouncing like so. There's so much inertia. It's like 13,000 RPM that you've got going in this metal box that's like banging on this rut side to side. So imagine holding it in your hands as it's revving at, let's say 10,000 RPM, and you're just holding this thing, and then someone's nudging you while you hold. Like that's what your frame is.
Dude,
like your frame is holding an engine that's shaking like
it's
crazy.
So gnarly. Yeah.
So it's like you take it, and now let's go, instead of 10,000 RPM, let's go 4,000 RPM. Way more easier to manage.
It's so hard to. Like, people will see the 350 test. I'm revving the shit out of your 350 because it's like...
Well, you can get away with it. That's why 350 is better, because you can kind of get away with it.
But, like, it's harder to be conscious because it takes technique. It takes practice to learn to ride like Kenny, Everts, Townley's. Like, to be in that range of RPM, the Chase Sextons, the Lawrences, where you're not... Where Barsha's, his go-to is, like... How many teams have got him on their team and like or technique? Oh, let's try just short shifting. It lasts 2 laps and blah 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 because that's just what he rides. Like, so it's effective, but I think in 2023,
but only to a point.
I think in 2023 we're gonna see the year of like technique. Like it's happened in 22, but you're gonna see this year like there's so much.
Well, you look at Formula One, for example, right? They are locked in. There's no one's fucking what? Like you're not sending a Formula One car. There's like it's all finesse. Like you're on the edge, like of being just perfect braking markers, perfect acceleration. Like you're not lighting up the rear tire. So like where I feel like Supercross especially is like moving more towards that, where you've got to have so much respect for the throttle. You've got to have so much respect for the balance of the bike, because the tracks are just so dynamic now as well,
I as you said that, I was thinking of something I saw. I think a video of Reedy or Stu on a 250 or 2-stroke days. Like, remember when their technique went that far ahead of everyone's? Now that's happened in the 450 class. Yeah. Like now, because they were riding those 252 strokes, 125s, the absolute fastest they could go. I would say that. Like, these guys now like Chad Reed could have won straight rhythm in his prime against the They maximized the technique out of those 2 strokes in my opinion. Yeah. Like standing up late in turns, the tracks were a lot more crude. Then they adapted like that same technique into 450s, and now in 23, you're having this new technique come that they like that separates. Yeah. Right, and like the Tim Ferries and the other guys of that era, the Jeff Emmigs. Jeff Emmig didn't ever grab that next technique that James Stewart.
Well, look at the technique advantage that McGrath had over everyone.
Yeah, and then it went to James took that to that, and then now Chase and the Lawrences and Eli and Ken. I think as a whole. Yeah, because I think Jet learned, Dazzy and Jet and Hunter all learned from Eli 100%. And Kenny. So like then they've taken it and it's been highlighted. It's been highlighted by Carmichael saying this kid's technique. And so now parents are like seeing it. And then Deegan's like, that's the new thing. Hayden, pivot. Yeah. We ride like that.
Well, and you see like there's so many parallels that you can pull with just sport in general, right? Like, so MMA is a perfect example. Like if you're a champion, maybe like heavyweight, light heavyweight, a little bit different because it's just like they've literally got a fucking dynamite in their fit. So like they're playing a game of like, don't touch my dynamite. And I'm not going to touch your dynamite. But you look through, have you got time to go?
Yeah. Like 15 probably.
Yeah, cool. If you look at any champion from 135 to 180, you have to have perfect technique. So when someone gets you up against the fence, there is a technique for every single scenario that you are faced in, even to getting your hands onto the ground so that you're technically a grounded opponent. You need to do everything to stop the person from connecting their hands. You need to stop their hips getting below your hips. So it's like technically you have to be crazy sound. Then you go to the feet, and then it's like, okay, you need to know all of the technicalities of like striking with this person. There's all these submission escapes.
That's crazy, right?
So that's now. You go back 10 years, it was just rock'em sock'em robots. And just fucking who was just this crazy gnarly fighter guy. And almost Moto is like that in a sense, where it's just like, who can be that dude for the longest period of time? But then it's like every sport, the more money, the more time, and the younger that. So like the UFC champions of today would have been watching the UFC champions. Yeah,
because of content, man.
So now, you're just getting like this data, and then it's like this tree of data goes up and out while it's developing,
You look at, I think there's two sports that when you talk about technique and like evolution, and they're very different. Swimming. How are swimmers getting faster, man? Like people have been swimming so they don't so they don't die since the Titanic, right?
Yeah. People have been swimming as long as there's been water.
Right? But people are getting faster because of technique. Straight up technique.
Yeah. And it's just more data.
Yep. Yeah, BMX. Holy crap. Yeah. BMX is turning what snowboarding and skiing is, where I don't know if the guys are going to switch off axis because it's so much gymnastics within the sport. Like
right? I see what you're saying.
Like it's like I watch snowboarding and I blows my mind what they're doing, but I don't know what they're doing because there's spinning and flipping and grabbing. It's not just some switch method.
You're so fucking right.
Like BMX is there.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I don't even know what's happening because there's so much off access and so much shit. We're like skateboarding, again, technique.
Yeah.
That's a technique driven sport. We're getting way off topic, but like
technique
is like, skate is the only sport. Like moto, dude, take any Tom, Dick, and Larry. There's a freaking a ski ramp. Put it in third. They can jump. They can come off the ground. They can land.
Yeah.
A skateboard, bro.
I ain't doing it.
We ain't all laying off a curb. We're gonna fall off the curb and break our wrists and be done. Yeah. Like surfing the same way. You have to know the ocean and technique, and it's so rad where we are in sport. Like it's defined by the smallest best pieces, right? It's not you can't just there's not many sports now you can just be a meathead and just ram it through, but moto as a sport, like I think like one thing going back to like our core competency, and that is moto for me, is like the motorcycle is not going to improve that much. It's a matter of improving your motorcycle for you.
Yeah.
Like, and Kenny's the prime example of that, right?
Yeah.
Is this motorcycle going to be for him or not for him?
Yeah.
Like Honda's been known for making the bike worse, then it gets better, then worse than it. What if we just went back to the 2005 Honda 450?
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.